Were you really born strange, or do you just perceive more than you should? Why do some people walk into a room and feel the energy shift, even if no one says a word? What kind of soul carries silences so deep that the world feels shallow in? Comparison? It might seem like a trivial detail, but maybe what you always thought was being too sensitive was actually just having a perception too sharp for a distracted world. There's a rare kind of consciousness that doesn't just live, it deciphers. It doesn't simply go through experiences, it transforms with them. When everyone else is speaking, it's feeling. When the world celebrates noise, it listens to the spaces between the words. It's not shyness, it's another kind of presence. For a long time, they told you that you were different, in the wrong way. But what if what they call weirdness is just a form of misunderstood wisdom? What if that silence is actually fertile ground for something no one else can grow? Vision. This isn't a video about psychological types, it's about souls that weren't born to go with the flow, but to see beneath the current. And if you resonate with this, maybe you're just beginning to remember who you've always been. Chapter 1. You don't look at the world, you translate the invisible. While ordinary eyes get stuck on what's visible, yours are drawn to everything that isn't said. Some people see facts, you feel the context. The surface was never enough for you, because something inside has always searched for what hides beneath appearances. You walk into a space and, before you even sit down, you already sense what no one voiced. Tension, lies, unease. You don't hear it with your ears, you absorb it with your energy field. Your perceptions don't ask for permission. They simply arrive, as if they'd always been there. This way of reading the world may seem like overthinking to the oblivious, but while they react to the visible, you respond to the essential. What many call daydreaming is actually the invisible map you consult without ever needing to open it. You were never distracted. You were tuned into a different frequency, one that doesn't need words to understand what's happening. Your silence, most of the time, isn't absence. It's a deep listening to what the world hasn't yet learned how to say. Chapter 2. Loneliness never weighed you down. It refined you. When noise gets too loud, you withdraw. Not out of fear, but because you understand that not every sound is communication, and not every presence is company. From an early age, you learned there's more truth in an afternoon spent with yourself than in 1,000 empty conversations. You don't avoid people, you select your connections. You're selective with what you consume emotionally, because you know your energy isn't replenished in the crowd, but in solitude. And there's no guilt in that. Your refuge is a temple, not an escape. While the world chases approval, you seek meaning. Where many see boredom in silence, you find a sanctuary. And it's in this sacred space that your ideas are born, where your spirit breathes without masks. For you, loneliness was never the absence of love. It was the presence of self. A reunion with parts of yourself the world tried to silence. Because those who learn to stand alone don't bow to just any company. They recognize the value of their own presence. Chapter 3. You observe from within and build from without. You're not always distant. Sometimes you're simply elevated. While others drown in emotional tides, you walk along the shore, observing with clarity what no one else dared to see. This isn't coldness, it's discernment. You have the rare ability to step outside yourself without abandoning yourself, as if you could hold emotion in one hand and reason in the other, analyzing, deciphering, understanding. You are both, the scientist and the laboratory. This ability isn't visible to rushed eyes. They only see your silence, not the strategy behind it. But behind your stillness are drawn lines, intentional movements, and actions aligned with purpose. You never wanted to merely react to the world. You wanted to redesign it, even if it had to be in silence. Because your power was never in how loud you spoke, but in how clear your vision was. And those who can see the whole don't need to explain every piece. Chapter 4. Your soul runs on ancient time, even while living in the now. Have you noticed how everything seems to be rushing? Like there's an empty urgency behind it all. And yet, something inside you moves slower, as if it belongs to a different rhythm, a different era. You feel emotions with more depth, words with more weight, and details with more life. While many get lost in the speed, you still search for the essence, what was forgotten between one click and the next. This feeling of being out of sync with time isn't a flaw, it's ancient memory. Your soul carries memories the present keeps trying to bury. That's why you get emotional over things others consider trivial. A sunset, an old scent, a sincere gesture. You're not behind. You're in sync with truths. The modern world has tried to silence. You don't want to live rushing, you want to live feeling. And in a hurried world, that's an act of silent resistance. Chapter 5. Your presence speaks before your words. Have you noticed how, even in silence, you shift the energy of a space? Your presence often speaks before your mouth does. And this isn't mysticism. It's alignment between who you are and what you carry. You don't compete for attention. You don't need to, because your presence isn't built on performance. It's built on truth. Where many force connection, you simply exist, and that's enough. Those who can see beyond the surface can feel it. But this silent presence unsettles those who live for appearances. Your calm disrupts the internal noise of those who never learned how to listen to themselves. Your coherence dismantles the disguises of those living for validation. Your magnetism doesn't scream. It whispers, "I am whole." And in that whisper, it reveals that it's never been about appearing, but about being. You may not be the most visible, but you are impossible to ignore. Chapter 6. You'd trade applause for purpose. Without hesitation. Recognition has never satisfied you. Empty applause doesn't echo within you. You never wanted to be followed. You wanted to be useful. Your search isn't for fame. It's for coherence between what you feel and what you offer to the world. While many reshape themselves to fit into digital frames, you refuse to shrink just to fit into standards. Your focus has always been real impact. The kind that transforms, not just entertains. You'd rather have a conversation that heals than a compliment that hides. You choose the project that builds over the post that goes viral. Because inside you, there's an urgency for meaning. It doesn't matter who's watching. Your name doesn't need to be in lights. It just needs to be at peace with your role in the world. Because at the end of the day, you weren't born to be remembered by numbers, but by the invisible marks you left on souls no one ever saw you touch. Chapter 7. You read people with the eyes of the soul. Before anyone speaks about how they feel, you already know. Before something happens, you've already sensed it. This isn't luck. It's a deep reading of signals most people ignore. Micro-expressions, tone shifts, presences disguised as absence. You don't force these perceptions. They arrive naturally, as if your mind is permanently connected to an invisible web of signals and emotions. Your body absorbs truths that the mouth tries to hide. Many don't understand this ability. They call it overthinking or paranoia. But you know that every time you felt something was wrong, it was. Not because you wanted to find a problem, but because you couldn't close your inner eyes. You don't judge in haste, you protect yourself with wisdom. Knowing what hides behind faces is both a blessing and a burden. But it's this gift that keeps your integrity alive, even among smiling masks. Chapter 8. You question yourself as deeply as you observe the world. Unlike those who live by ready-made certainties, You are driven by questions that don't have immediate answers. It's not doubt out of insecurity. It's a thirst for authenticity. While the world rushes to look fine, you turn inward and ask, "Who am I, really?" You don't seek labels, you seek essence. You review your actions, investigate your intentions, confront your memories. Sometimes it hurts, because what's found inside isn't always pretty. But you never trade truth for comfort. This process can feel lonely. It can even be scary. But it's how you peel back layer after layer until you rediscover what the world tried to make you forget. Your root, your origin, your wholeness. It's not about fixing yourself, it's about remembering yourself. For you, self-questioning isn't a crisis. It's a path. And no matter how exhausting it is to rebuild yourself while the world pretends everything's fine, you know the price of truth is always lower than the weight of illusion. Chapter 9. You faced your shadow. Without running! Everyone has a side they hide, but few have the courage to grab a flashlight and walk in. You didn't run from your darkness. You stayed. You sat with the pain, named the fear, and listened to what the silence had been trying to tell you for years. Facing your own shadow is the most human act there is. It isn't pretty, and it isn't light. But you understood that denying the wound doesn't heal it, that suppressing what bleeds only deepens the internal hemorrhage. So, you stopped pretending everything was fine. Deep down, you knew that integrating is more valuable than erasing. You didn't kill parts of yourself. You embraced them. And in doing so, you transformed guilt into awareness, anger into discernment, and fear into direction. The serenity you carry today didn't come from easy days. It came from the courage to look at yourself fully. You aren't light because you denied the darkness. You are light because you knew how to illuminate it with truth. Chapter 10. You feel others' pain, as if it were your own. No explanations needed. Just a glance, a heavy silence, a held-back sigh, and you know. You sense what others try to hide, not because of some mystical intuition, but because your empathy overflows logic and reaches the body. It's as if your skin is porous to the emotions of others. You absorb, you carry, you feel. And even without words, you draw near, you listen with your soul, offering presence where the world demands explanations. It can be exhausting, and often is, but you never give up on feeling, because you understand the world doesn't need more distance. It needs human touch. Even when no one reciprocates, you offer warmth. Feeling deeply was never a weakness. It was a channel, a space where pain finds a listener and darkness finds comfort. You're not here to save anyone, but to remind them that no one should have to carry the weight alone. Chapter 11. Your imagination isn't escape. It's the soul's language. While the world calls it daydreaming, you build entire worlds within. Not because you want to escape reality, but because you feel there's something beyond what the eyes can see. And a free mind is a bridge to that dimension. You visualize what doesn't exist yet. You build scenes, converse with futures, structure possibilities. This isn't distraction, it's alignment. You access messages that don't come through words, but through images, sensations, and symbols. This kind of imagination isn't a pastime, it's a compass. Many of your most accurate decisions were born in silent moments, when your mind wandered and, at the same time, received. You know when something is real, even before it manifests. Your inner world is fertile, and those who cultivate vision on the inside eventually harvest change on the outside. You don't fantasize. You plant intuition in invisible soil, waiting for the right time to bloom. Chapter 12. You lead without needing to be followed. You've never needed a stage to have an impact. Your leadership doesn't come from the volume of your voice, but from the coherence between what you think, feel, and do. Where many command, you guide. Where many show off, you hold steady. Your influence is subtle but undeniable. People look for you when everything collapses, not because you have all the answers, but because they know you have the courage not to run from the truth. Your presence is grounding, even when the world is shaking. You've already crossed inner chaos, and that's why you no longer need to prove anything. Your path isn't about being the center. It's about keeping your center even in silence. That's what turns your walk into a reference. For you, leading is keeping peace in the middle of war. It's being what the world has forgotten, an example without ego. And those who lead like this don't need recognition. They just need it to happen. You were never strange. You were simply too rare to be instantly understood. From the start, they tried to name you with shallow labels. Too sensitive, too complicated, too distant. But now, maybe it makes sense. It wasn't excess. It was depth. It wasn't shyness. It was perception. It wasn't fragility. It was too much truth for a world addicted to masks. You were never lost. You just took time to find a mirror that could reflect your nature without distorting it. While so many run around trying to belong, you discovered that sometimes not belonging is the highest form of loyalty to yourself. Your intuition isn't random. It's a language. Your sensitivity isn't weakness. It's a radar. Your way of feeling, seeing, and existing was never a mistake. It's proof that there's something inside you the modern world still doesn't know how to name. And all of this that you are doesn't ask for justification. It asks for acceptance. Because you didn't come here to fit in. You came to remind the world what it means to feel, to see, and to transform. In silence, in presence, in truth.